Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do number 3, and if it doesn't take too long, I'll do number 4. I might split those videos up. So here we got fractions, and it's intentional because guess what? Your kids are going to have to get comfortable with fractions. It's just got to happen. And the only way I know to do that is to just do fraction problems. So if it's a struggle, that's okay. They might need a review. It might not be a bad idea to go to some websites on how to add and subtract, multiply and divide fractions, because they got to know how to do it. That's not an 8th grade standard. That's a 6th grade standard and 5th grade standard. So it's kind of expected that they know how to do it by the time they get to 8th. But if they don't, that's okay. They just might need to spend some extra time on it. So with all that said, let's get into the process of solving this system of equations through substitution. So I've already got set up y equals this. So what I can do is I can take all of this and sub it in for y. And that's going to give me a real big equation. I'm going to color code it so you can see the two equations coming together. So we have 1/2 x plus 2 equals 3/2 x plus 6. And to solve this, I'm going to pick a variable side and a number side. It doesn't matter which is which. Whenever I pick a variable side, I just see which side has the most variables, and I say that's my variable side. But it doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer no matter what. So I'm going to say that this is my variable side, and this is my number side. And I'm going to get rid of anyone that doesn't belong. One person that doesn't belong is this 1/2 x, because he's on my number side, and he needs to go away. So the way that you get rid of 1/2 of an x is you subtract 1/2 of an x. Okay? And then I need to subtract 1/2 an x over here. Okay, so now this is when you have to think back to 5th and 6th grade. When I am subtracting fractions, they have to have a common denominator. And in this case, they have a common denominator. They're both 2. So now all I do is I subtract the numerators. So I have 3 minus 1 equals 2. And my common denominator is 2, and don't forget about the x on there. Alright, and so now you need to determine if this is a positive 2/2x or a negative 2/2x, and you have to think back to 7th grade. You go with whatever you have the most of. So here I had 3/2 positive, and I only had 1/2 negative. So I've got more positive. So this is going to stay a positive. So I'm not even going to put a positive sign there because I don't have to put it there. It's just positive. So now I'm going to bring down my 2 from up here, and then my plus 6. Now this right here can be simplified. 2/2 can be simplified to just 1 because 2 divided by 2 equals 1. So I'm going to rewrite this equation. 2 equals 1x. And I don't have to put the 1 there. You know there's an invisible 1 there. Alright, or understood 1. Plus 6. So now, actually, this is a very easy equation at this point. I want x by itself, so I'm going to subtract this 6 and subtract this 6 on both sides to keep it balanced. 2 minus 6, you got to think back to 7th grade. It's going to give you a negative 4. So x equals negative 4. Is what I've got so far. Now I get to do substitution again, and I need to pick whichever is my favorite equation. I'm just going to go with the top one. It doesn't really matter to me. You can try to pick whichever is easiest, but I'm going to write this in a different color. Got my color coding thing going on. Hopefully it helps somebody. I don't know. Alright. Plus 2. So now what I'm going to do is, I know x equals negative 4. So I'm going to take that negative 4 and I'm going to put it in for x. And this is what the equation is going to look like when I rewrite it. We got y equals 1/2 times, I'm going to put in there negative 4. Alright. Now, you learn back in 5th and 6th grade on how to multiply fractions. And you're like, okay, well this is a fraction, but this isn't a fraction, so I don't know what to do. Well, you can turn any number into a fraction by just putting it over 1. So now I've got 2 fractions that are multiplying together. And the way you multiply fractions is you multiply numerators together and then you multiply denominators together. If this is an issue for your child, or if you're a student watching this, you gotta get some practice on it. You gotta go find some good websites that teach that, how to multiply and divide and add and subtract fractions. If you're wondering what grade that is, it's 5th and 6th grade. That might help you narrow down some good resources. So here we go. We have y equals 1 times negative 4 is a negative 4, and 2 times 1 is a 2. And don't forget about this plus 2 at the very end. This fraction right here can be simplified. A negative 4 divided by a positive 2 is going to give you a negative 2. You've got to think back to 7th grade on how you did that, if you're not quite certain. And then don't forget this adding 2. And so now we have y equals negative 2 plus 2. So y equals a negative 2 plus 2 is 0. Getting a lot of answers where y is 0. Alright, so that's it. That's my answer. So my answers collectively, we have x equals negative 4 and y equals 0. And then, of course, I can put that in a coordinate pair. X is negative 4 and y is 0.